Hey guys, it's Greg with By the Bootstraps, btbootstraps.com. It's kind of an interesting video. I never thought that I'd have to make this and say this, but I got a message from someone on Facebook who looked at our page, our By the Bootstraps Facebook page, our group page, and he sent me a message saying that he was not going to approve our site, which is fine, which is cool, you know. But then he goes on to accuse me of saying that, you know, we were basically lying to people and we had a political agenda, which there's no lies here. You know, I lean a certain way. I think I've said that in multiple videos. But he also said that we had no connection with the military and that we have no connection with the vets, and all we were doing was making this for-profit business, taking advantage of those people who have served and people who are continuing to serve, and the fact that we have no connection ourselves. Which, okay. Don't agree with that, but that's fine. That's cool. But then he goes on to accuse me of stolen valor. That's where I was like, okay, dude, I don't think so. I don't talk about my military service very much, just because when I compare it to those who actually served, especially in combat situations and stuff like that, guys who served in World War II, guys who served in Vietnam, guys who served in the Korean War, guys who served in the first Iraq War in the 90s, you know, and the guys who are over in Afghanistan right now and in Iraq and stuff like that. I don't put like my service on that same level. And I know some people might say like, it doesn't matter if you served, if you did, you know, if you did this or did that, it doesn't matter. But when I look at like the guys who come back with like PTSD and you know missing limbs, or who sacrificed, you know, the ultimate sacrifice, I've never equated like my service to that level. All right. I guess you could say like you're just being humble or whatever, but to me, it's not something I've ever considered or thought about. So the guy accused me of having, you know, using stolen valor, and that I was just making this page and making these products and these shirts and stuff like that just to push a political view, and also just to, you know, make a profit off of those people who do serve or who have served, veterans. And so that comment just really, it kind of really pissed me off, because up until I started doing these videos and up until I started like making this site, this bythebootstraps.com or btbootstraps.com, and putting, you know, our designs out there, I never really talked about like my service. In fact, most of the times I never talked to people or mentioned that I was a veteran unless it was specifically asked of me. Usually in like a job application, if they looked at my resume and they saw that, oh, I see that you're in the service. But outside of that, I never discussed it. You know, I don't walk around with shirts on. I don't walk around. I mean, I guess now I kind of do, because, you know, we're promoting, you know, a business. But up until then, I never discussed it. Never, you know, really talked about it. I only talked about it when it was asked about. You know, when it was asked upon me. You know, hey, you know, were you in the service? And then it's kind of like, yeah, I was. You know, I was Air Force. But outside of that, you know, I don't walk around with the stickers on the back of my car, or drive with stickers on the back of my car. I don't walk around with like the hoodies and, you know, the grunt style and the Ranger up and the Article 15 clothing and stuff like that. I mean, those are all like people who, this kind of like whole entire site was kind of, I don't want to say it was molded after, because I don't want to like follow their footsteps, but in a way, like I got the idea from these guys. And it was interesting because a couple years ago when I first had the idea of this, I was at my buddy's house, who was also my business partner with this. And we were, you know, coming up with like, we were watching actually 13 hours. And in the process of watching that, after watching that, he was showing me the guys from Article 15 and some of the videos that they had going on. I was like, you know, it's kind of funny that we're watching this, because I've had this idea in my head about starting, you know, a t-shirt design like this. And what I wanted to do with this business was obviously make a profit, so that we can continue to grow and continue to make new designs and continue to move forward with that. But at the same time, as we were, you know, as we were developing these different products and these different, you know, ideas, taking the money that we were making from that, if we were to make money from it, and start applying it to groups and veterans causes or military causes that I found interesting to me. Like one thing for me that I wanted to get involved in and still want to get involved in is suicide prevention, because I've had a close family friend who was in the military and served in the Army who committed suicide, and I wanted to start working on things like spousal abuse programs, and possibly even like alcohol recovery and alcohol addiction and things like that within the service, because all of us who have been in the service know that it's kind of a rampant and ravenous thing that happens in the military. You know, it's not uncommon for people to get off work, go home, get drunk, sober up barely, go to work, and then just kind of repeat that process over and over again. And I know because I was one of those people. So I wanted to, like, hey, you know, there's a better opportunity, and I wanted to reach out to those people. But to do so, it requires funds. And so part of that was I wanted to make a profit off of here, not just to line my bank account or my buddy's bank account and be like, hey, we've made so many sales and we're doing this and we're doing that. There's a greater cause to this. Okay, now, just so this dumbass has some kind of idea of where I'm coming from. And June 1st of 2004, I shipped off to boot camp, Lackland Air Force Base, and I spent 3 years active duty working at Barksdale Air Force Base, working on B-52 hydraulics. And then I Palace Chase out of Barksdale and went to Fort Snelling here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and worked on C-130s for about 1.5 years. And then after that, there was an opportunity to get out of the service permanently, which I did so because at the time I was married, and if I knew if I went on another deployment, my marriage was not going to make it through that marriage. Well, turned out for not, because it didn't happen anyway, and we ended up getting divorced anyway. So I kind of left the military in a way that I wish I wouldn't have done. I wish I would have stayed in. And quite frankly, I wish I would have gone back to active duty, because yeah, there were things that I didn't like about certain aspects about it, but overall I enjoyed it. In fact, looking back now, some of the best times that I had personally, individually, and as a camaraderie with other guys was in the service, you know. But when the guy says like, oh, you don't have any connection to the military, okay. Well, outside of me serving 5.5 years of active duty and Guard Reserve, my wife, who was active Air Force for 4 years, got medically retired at 80% disability. Okay, our business partner, who is in Salt Lake City, who's a real close friend of mine. I've known this guy since I was at Barksdale. He did, I think it was 4 years active duty, and then he left active duty for Guard Reserve, full-time Guard Reserve in Utah, and he ended up eventually being medically discharged on 100% disability. But yet he still is active and works out at, I think it's, what Air Force base is that? I can't remember. He works at the Hill Air Force Base. I'm sorry. He works out of the Hill Air Force Base currently. My dad and my brother were both Army. My dad was in the service outside of, right after Vietnam, and my brother was in the Army for a couple of years. I have a cousin who serves in the Marine, who currently serves. I've had a close friend of mine who served 3 years in active duty Army, got out of active duty and then was recalled and went back. He was one of the few people who actually went back when a lot of people who were recalled didn't show up. But he actually went back and did his time. He went to Afghanistan and Iraq. I have an uncle who served 18 years active duty Navy before he was medically retired due to the asbestos in the boats and stuff like that. It's got some kind of bone degenerative disease. And my wife's grandfather just recently passed away, and he spent 25 years active duty Air Force before he retired, went on to have a career as an electrician from the skill set that he learned in the Air Force.
And my great-grandfather.
Oh, and her great-grandfather was in the military as well. So I come from a long family history of people in the service. I myself have served, my wife has served, you know, close family friends have served, close family members within, you know, outside of our immediate family have served. And so for this jackhole to sit and say that, you know, I'm coming from a position of stolen valor, I totally understand if you don't like, you know, the viewpoints that I have. I understand if you don't like the shirts. I understand if you don't like, you know, like the designs. I get all that. I understand if you don't like some of the viewpoints that we have, some of the political stuff we have. I totally understand if you don't like that. But I would never go out and accuse someone of lying about their service or not performing a duty if they said they did. If you've watched my previous videos, you would know this, which I don't expect you to watch these videos. Obviously, I looked at his Facebook page. His viewpoint is very, very different from mine, and I get that. But I wouldn't accuse him of not participating in something that he said he did. You know, in fact, the only person on this channel that I've ever accused of not even not serving, but lying about what he did in the service was that jackass Native American who was pounding the drum at that March for Life and those kids from the Covington High School. You know, I didn't even say he didn't serve. You know, he obviously has a military record that said he did. All I said was that he didn't serve in the capacity going over to Vietnam and serving tours of duty that he claimed that he did. That was the only thing that I've said. And that's the only time I've questioned anyone's quote-unquote service. All right? I have made a video about stolen valor and about guys who are clearly, you know, were never in the military. They don't have any connection to the military, but they walk around with uniforms and they play Call of Duty on the weekends, and therefore they think that they're, you know, they're soldiers. You know, we've actually got someone in the family who thinks he's a rent-a-soldier. He thinks he's a mercenary, apparently. You know, he talks the lingo, but the guy's a flipping moron when it comes to anything, you know, service related, because he's never done it. You know, he has a fascination with guns. Well, whoopee-doo, dude, you know. But still, just because I don't agree with what he does or what he says, I still wouldn't call him out necessarily, and I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that, even if I do think it's ludicrous. But for this guy on Facebook to sit here and say that, again, you can disagree with my viewpoints. I totally understand. This channel's not for everyone, you know. But if you look at my post on Facebook, outside of some of the stories that I might have commented on, but if you look at most of the posts on my Facebook feed, you would see that the majority of it is honoring soldiers. It is, you know, making fun of the life that we lived while we were, you know, while we were in service. It's honoring fallen police officers. It's honoring firefighters. It's honoring, you know, those people who serve and protect us, not just like militarily, you know, out in the field, but also those here at home who put on their uniforms. That's why our website is, you know, by the Bootstraps for military and first responders, because it's not just like, oh, it's only going to be for military, or oh, it's only going to be for first responders. It's tried to more like, we want to encompass all of this. Now, I will admittedly say I'm biased and I lean towards military because that's personally what I've done, and that's personally what my wife has done. You know, what's interesting is that the guy says, oh, you're just doing it to turn a profit. I'll be very candid with you, dude. We haven't made a profit yet, all right? This is a lot of work. It's taken a lot of money. You know, we had to design the shirts and had them professionally put on JPEG files that we could actually use. And so we actually had to pay someone to do that because I don't have that skill set myself, hence why we started small and kind of working at this. And so every little thing that we do, it's just a process to try and get to another place where we can go a little bit further and do a little bit more, you know. So for this guy and they're saying you're just, you know, taking advantage of these people, you don't know what you're talking about, you know. And if you want to gladly come over one day and take a look at our budget sheet and what it takes to run this business and what it takes to do and see what we've gotten back in return, so that you can just see how much we're taking advantage of those people, I would gladly show you. Otherwise, shut your fucking mouth. Anyway, comment below, let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you later.